Okay, so you need a basement floor. And really, you don't have a ton of options as you're getting into this. It all depends on what you're going to put on. So you're going to be putting it straight on concrete. You want to be sure that it's not damp, you don't have a moisture issue, that the cracks are filled, that it is relatively flat. I don't want to use the term level because that would be going way too far than you want to go. We're going to use the term flat. So in some cases, you're going to fill the cracks, or you're going to fill any dips. You're going to have to walk around, see what places are lower than others, maybe using a level or a laser or your eyes, use some type of floor patch. A lot of flooring contractors will use a really quick drying floor patch. You don't want dips of, a quarter inch or a half inch, because whatever you're putting on it is going to have to contour to that, or may cause movement and it may come out. That's no fun. So my personal favorite is carpet because I like the way it feels. The negatives of carpet are it's not super DIY friendly and it's kind of gross. Body hair, pet hair, food, all of that stuff. It's tough to clean. It's tough to keep, I want to say sanitary, but it is the one I like the most. I guess you could throw a big area rug on whatever you're going to use anyways. But let's go back to your substrate. So either you're going to be putting it right on concrete, or you're going to putting some type of underlay, or you're going to be putting a subfloor system like we've talked about in the past, dry core, barricade, dimple membrane, whatever you're going to put. That will make a difference. It also takes up the height of your floor, meaning your space between floor to finish ceiling will be lower depending on what you're doing. That may or may not bother you. You may want the feel of that subfloor underneath to keep it warmer. It will not make it warm. I do say that. I will say it does make it warmer because concrete gets very cold. It's subterranean. There's moisture around it and things freeze over time, in the winter, depending on where you live. The most DIY friendly subfloor flooring that you're going to use is going to be some type of click flooring, whether it's the old school laminate flooring that was kind of plastic, hardboard on the top, whatever you want to call it, some type of veneer, or you're using the more up to date vinyl click, right? And you can glue that down as well. It can be floating, it can be click. Floating floor is the most DIY friendly. You can cut it with a saw, you can get all the tools. It's relatively simple to install as a concept once you understand where to start and getting all your pieces down. Usually your first few rows are the hardest because they kind of pull apart sometimes as you're working on them. But once you get your first 2-3 rows done, then it kind of it gets easier to put them in. What I recommend typically is the newer vinyl click is a much better product than it used to be. It looks much nicer. It looks more like a wood grained. It doesn't look like wood, but it's close. And you can get it in various thicknesses. What I've learned over the years is to stay away from the thinner version of it. The 3/16 or, just shy a quarter inch. We've used that in the past. I thought it was awesome. And then over time, what we realize is because the tongue and groove is so thin, it doesn't create as much of a connection. It's not as tight. So when you're moving around, if your floor isn't dead flat, it will start to separate. And I know my flooring contractor had a lot of calls with regards to that, which is why they stopped recommending it, which is why I've stopped recommending it or using it, depending on the situation. If it's a small space, if it's a little laundry room and you can get the floor flat-ish, maybe I might use it, but it's not something I advocate using on your main floor ever. Anytime you're doing a main floor renovation, you should be adhering your floor to something, whether it's nailing it, whether it's gluing it, because that floor is going to get a lot of movement from you walking on it and just the house in general. But back to basement floors. The vinyl click that I will be using at my house in my basement will be, sort of about half-inch thick, maybe a little bit shy of that. And it's got a hardboard on the back or a cork, and it is a vinyl product. What I like about it is I can do it on my own. I don't need help of an installer. I can run it into, say, a kitchen. I can run it into a bathroom. It is waterproof and it will do the job. So I'll have one flooring throughout. Now, if you want to put tile in a bathroom or tile in a basement kitchen, you're doing an apartment, awesome. But that is more labor, more time, more tools, more expertise. I would say this about my tiling skills is that I can tile. I would lose money on the daily if I did because I am super slow and I don't really enjoy it. It's a lot more work than, say, laminate. I can set up a chop saw in a basement. I can't really set up a wet saw, or you can, but it just gets messy. And it's just a process I don't enjoy. If you're going to lay a subfloor, or even if you're not, you can install a glue down product. There's engineered flooring that can be glued to concrete. There's also vinyl flooring that can be glued to concrete. It's used in a commercial application a lot because it's durable. And what I like about it is not the cost, because it's more expensive than the other stuff, because the labor is more and the product is more. However, it is something that if you have a rental space and someone damages the floor, you can simply pull up that one piece, lay down a little more adhesive, and replace it as it is. So, from that sense, it's a great product. When you have laminate flooring, yes, I have heard that you can replace a piece without removing the floor and reinstalling it. But let's put it this way, I've never seen it work. I've seen it done. I've never seen it work long term. So I have in the past, when something's been damaged, pulled up the baseboard, pulled up the floor to the damaged piece, removed the damaged pieces, replaced them with new pieces, and then relaid the floor. Is that tedious? Heck yeah. It's sore because I'm down, you're bending over all the time, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. But that's the nature of not just flooring, but being in the trades. You're going to have a lot of that to do. As we move along, what other options do you have that are DIY friendly? Not many. Carpet isn't, because it's hefty and you have to, depending on the size of the room, you're going to have to blend the pieces together. At the seam, that's a skill that not everyone is going to be good at. You got to lay down tack strips, you got to lay down the underlay, you got to roll the carpet out. It's really, really challenging. So I would say if you're going to do it on your own, either a laminate of the old type or the new type, the click floating floors would be the way you want to go. I don't think cheaping out is the best. You will get what you pay for. We'll say that about anything. If you underspend on the floor, I don't know how long it's going to last, that you'll be sitting there going, I wish I hadn't done this. It's one of the things that it's going to show right away. You're going to walk down, and when it's done, you're going to think, hey, look, I did that. And then you're going to come down later and you're going to go, you know what? I wish I'd spent a little bit more. I also use flooring as a great way to gauge cost for projects. For you, if you're planning on doing your basement, if you're not at a point where you're going to do it and you're wondering how much is this going to cost, figure out how much square footage you need in flooring and go look at the price of that. So if you got 1,000 square feet and you're going to spend $3 a square foot on flooring, well, guess what? That's $3,000, just as a guesstimate, right? A lot of basements are 500, 600, 700 square feet. You know, when I hear people tell me I can get a floor at a discount guy for $2. Well, there's a reason the discount guy is selling that floor for $2. What if you need more and they're out? What if they don't have enough of what you need? I enjoy going to specialty flooring stores because they stand by their product. They're not going to recommend something, at least where I am and the companies that I deal with locally. They're not going to recommend something that's going to come back on them. They want less headache. Repeat business is a benefit of doing good business the first time. But most people that I know in the industry are not looking at you as a repeat customer right away. They're looking at you as an initial customer, and then through serving you properly, they get your business again. But they initially, You're going to spend 15, 20 grand on a floor. Well, you're not replacing that 2 years later. Maybe you're doing a bathroom. Maybe you're doing this. Maybe you're doing that. But you're not replacing a whole big floor again. That's a little context into basement flooring and what you're thinking about. I'll probably do something bigger later on about how to install and so forth. But right now, as I said earlier, I'm just trying to barf these out and do one of these a month or one every 2 weeks to get something out to you without it being too difficult. Thanks for watching and good luck on your project.